Big election last week, and, well, of course, that meant some city commission changes and a change to the mayor's chair, sort of. Dave Walters is here, the new mayor of Battle Creek. And we say the new, but you've been there before.
I have, Richard, and good morning to you, and thank you for having me here today.
Well, thanks for coming today. This was not the case last year. It was long and drawn out, and this year, done. Fast.
It was, and I think all of us involved were glad it was that way rather than the year ago. We hope that's an anomaly.
Right, yeah, just every now and then kind of thing.
You bet.
So what motivated you to want to come back to this chair?
Well, I guess in all honesty, I didn't want to leave it in the first place a year ago. I still think there's some things I'd like to be involved in and some committees that I sit on and some general policies and financial issues that the city has that I'd still like to be a part of. And I'd be lying if I didn't say that even though the mayor position and vice mayor is ceremonial, there is something exciting about speaking for, in a sense, and representing the city of Battle Creek, whether it be at an event, or on a committee, or working with other jurisdictions that surround the city of Battle Creek. So those are the things I enjoy, and some of those you get a little extra oomph in that being the mayor to go to some more of those. So I'm looking forward to that. Yeah,
it's an interesting thing because, some cities elect their mayor separately. Some cities might put on the responsibilities list certain things that other cities don't for their mayor. How do you see that here? Is our position mostly a cheerleading position, or is it more than that?
As mayor, it might be a little bit more than that, and whether this comes across corny or not, the truth is, I think all 9 of us on the commission indeed act in a mayoral role throughout the term. There's different events that other commissioners are at that not every other commissioner even knows about. And so we're all being that cheerleader. We're all doing that. And the term I'm using right now is we need to work as a unit. And so I think that those duties and responsibilities that the mayor, vice mayor have, indeed, it belongs to all of us.
Well, and in a way, the way you describe it, you all work, sort of as a mayoral group, is true in the sense that the voters don't single you out or anyone out. They elect all of you to represent as leaders.
Absolutely, and I guess a goal would be to continue what other mayors have done before me, and that is build that commission and support it as a unit once again, and not meaning to beat that into the ground, but I believe that that's very important, that whether any of us that show up at an event send that same message and belief, and that we act as a unit.
So what's the message Battle Creek needs to hear now, do you think?
I think the message is this. If you look at the last, say, 24 months, maybe I'm wrong, or you've lived in a cave somewhere, there's been some ups and downs.
Yes.
There's been some struggles. There's no doubt about that, whether it be the administration of the city of Battle Creek and the change and the turnover that we've had for a multitude of reasons. But I think that those are smoothing out. I think that in looking forward, that those people that were, and I don't like the word, but interim, positions at the time, did a fantastic job, took it to be their own, didn't look at it as interim, and made some specific changes that have put us in a good place.
Mayor Dave Walters is here. We're talking until about 8:30 on WBCK. Back shortly on Thursday morning. WBCK, Mayor Dave Walters is here this half hour on a Thursday. The way we do this in Battle Creek is interesting because, as we alluded, the folks vote for commissioners by ward, and then you decide amongst yourselves who will be the mayor. Is that antiquated? Is it good? Is it bad? Does it not matter? What do you think about that?
Well, I think it definitely matters. First off, the citizens of Battle Creek should make the decision on how the mayor's selected.
You think
so?
Now, okay.
But I don't know if that necessarily translates to a popular vote. But obviously in place right now is the way that we do that. But if we went like Kalamazoo has done and had a mayoral election that way, or if we went with the top vote getter, the way our system is right now, as you said, Richard, we have 5 wards, and then we have 4 at-large commissioners.
Right.
It's probably pretty sure bet that one of the at-large commissioners are going to get the most votes. So I think if we went by that formula and tried to push that ahead, my belief is we would have to abolish the ward system.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone would be at large as Kalamazoo was prior to this.
Right.
And then the top vote getter gets it. So we'd have to make some definite internal changes to see something like that. But if the citizens want that, then we should discuss that.
Mm-hmm. Is it your notion they do?
You know, I haven't heard that necessarily, door knocking or, you know, at events. I mean, it pops up occasionally, and I know there's been committees in the past that have looked at that. But you know what? Just because we looked at it one time a few years ago and it didn't seem appropriate, maybe it is now. And that's, I believe, what we're supposed to do is listen to those citizens. And if bring it up to the top, let's look at it again, and maybe there is a new way to do those things.
Sure. You hear a lot about the notion, the reaction when people talk about change, when somebody says, oh, we've always done it that way, is not necessarily a good reason, but it's not necessarily a reason to change it either if it works.
Right, and I would agree, and I think the other kind of crevice we fall in at times that I don't really support all the time is the constant question of, well, what's another jurisdiction doing, and what's another jurisdiction doing? I believe in the research in that, but I also think we need to step that one more step to it and say, well, has it worked for them?
Right.
Just to say, there's 5 other cities in the state that do it this way, maybe that doesn't work for them, and they wish they were doing it our way, I guess. I don't know. But we do need to keep looking into that.
Is there a sense that if you elect your mayor separately from other races, that's indicative of a larger city?
Possibly. I believe possibly it is.
Yeah.
The ward system seems to work, and the at-large system seems to work here. Obviously, I'm going to support that until the citizens would want some sort of charter change or whatever we would need to do that.
Mm-hmm. Right, and those things aren't generally taken lightly when you talk about changing charters and things like that.
Sure, but I don't think it should be a hindrance, the fact that there would be hurdles to overcome. I think as a commission, we should sit down and so what if there's 10 hurdles to take care of? If that's the right thing to do, the citizens want that, then we need to put our collective heads together with the administration and make that happen. Mm-hmm.
I suppose under those conditions, when a commissioner is absent on the day you decide who the mayor is, that problem is eliminated. I mean, the 14 vote thing wouldn't happen.
It certainly would.
Yeah.
Yes.
Interesting. All right, we're talking with Mayor Dave Walters in a minute. He's discussed the idea of working as a unit. We'll talk more about what that means coming up in just a moment. 8:19. 8:21 WBCK. Mayor Dave Walters is here for a few more minutes here on Thursday. So you talk about the commission working as a unit. There were some struggles with that this year, were there not? Or in the past year, I should say.
Certainly there were. And, you know, the ethics committee, the ethics that are in place, you know, we've had that in place for quite a while. We certainly don't want to use that if we don't have to. And going forward, it's something I hope that we never have to refer to again, in all honesty. Mm-hmm. But I think also, when I say the unit, I think I mentioned last time, a few weeks ago when I was on here with you, that there's been some great examples of that. And one of them was in the north side there in Verona with those buildings that, and I hate to keep reverting back to that, but it's a great example. You know, they'd been involved in some fires. They needed to be demolished. The commission as a whole pushed the administration a little bit or nudged them, you know, and said, we need to get this taken care of. The citizens want it. We want it. Let's make this happen. Let's find the funds. Let's do it. And sure enough, we were able to do that. And then when that city manager decided to kind of do something a little different, our commission stepped up unanimously and said, no, you know, this has been on the resolution. The citizens want this, so we're going to do that. And that's the kind of atmosphere and unit I think that we will have, and maybe we have that now, but it's just too early to tell.
Right.
But that we'll push forward and work together and things like that.
Well, and it's interesting, too, because I think when you ask someone, what is a city commission supposed to do, it would probably be an example like that they would cite. We need problems like this solved.
You bet. You know, obviously the two items that were tagged to do would be in policy making and review of policies, and of course the financial health of our city, and you know, making decisions on the expenditures and things like that. However, in reality, when you door knock and you talk to the folks, you're at a forum, whatever it may be, it goes off on a path different than that. So I still think we can bring it back to some of those issues, but I also know as commissioners, we need to deal with those smaller events that are important to smaller groups of people.
You talked about the ethics policy. It seemed as though in using it in the last year, it resulted in something of an impasse. Is that fair to say?
I don't necessarily refer to it that way, I guess,
okay.
And I guess I would quietly disagree with that just a little.
Sure. Yeah.
But I think that that committee worked pretty hard on that. The chair of that committee worked really hard on that. Our city attorney was deeply involved in that. That is one time that we did look at other jurisdictions to see what they had in place. And actually, the Michigan Municipal League, who did some training for us several weeks ago, said that we have probably the premier ethics policy in the entire state in place. So once again, I hope we never have to use that again, but at least we know it's there.
Well, and what inspired me to say that is, the ethics code was invoked, and then it just resulted in what seemed to be an amplifying of the rhetoric back and forth, and it didn't seem like it resolved anything, did it?
I think it did.
Okay.
And once again, I think what it did was bring the commission together as a unit. And I think it also brought a lot of citizens together as well, that they want to hold us to the oath that we do indeed take. They want to hold us just to the general morals and ethics and decorum. That there are things that aren't written into that code of ethics that we still need to live by, no matter what. And so I think it's just kind of a situation where we've had that in place, never thought we would use it.
Right.
We ended up needing to do that at that point. But like I said, once again, hopefully we'll never have to again.
There was some discussion of it and some movement about it recently, was there not?
There was. We just changed some of the verbiage, and that came about because of the ethics hearing that we had and the look-see again. And I think all of those types of items that we deal with as a commission, they're always going to be fluid. There's 40-some committees that we deal with. The ethics is one of them, obviously. But all of those have moving targets inside of them. And once again, we need to work as that unit and work for the citizens of Battle Creek. What they want us to do, we'll do, and we will make that right.
One of the things that came up as we were talking to incumbents and candidates over the course of the last 10 days or so was code compliance and the issue that some folks have that Battle Creek isn't as responsive as it could be in that area. What's your thought on that?
I'm glad you asked that question. That gets back to the neighborhoods in general, but, business as well, but mainly neighborhood generated. I think, and I think that the city administration would agree, we need more SOPs, standard operating procedures in place where a citizen can access those as well as the workers of City Hall. And I think we need to think outside that box a little bit as well. A couple ideas I heard was in the springtime when we need to do painting or some different things to our homes that may have been cited during the winter, what about a moratorium for a 30-day period that you still have to come and get your permit, but maybe there's not a fee attached to that. Maybe that helps help our economy as well, as folks are going out and going, hey, in this 30-day window or whatever it may be, I can go out there. I still have to go get the permit to get it done, but doggone, maybe this is going to help us out.
Right. All right, so here we are, right after all of this is decided, week one. What's on your agenda, you think, that has to be on the priority list near the top?
Well, I think the BC Vision process that's in place right now, that has to be on the top. Always the safety and security of our citizens. And that can mean everything from lighting in the city to our police and fire. It runs a full gamut. But I think we also need to look at specific projects like the missile defense system, for lack of a better term, that we certainly hope that we have earned and will get here in Battle Creek. So that's what I see going forward.
We chatted with Congressman Fred Upton several weeks ago now, who said Battle Creek is near the top of that list, if not at the top for that missile defense system. Is that what you've gleaned as well?
I've heard the same thing.
Yeah.
And once again, acting as a unit, our commission made and voted the resolutions in to make those changes, whether it be to the highway structure out there. And I believe that's going to get a lot of support. It already has, and that we need to just make ourselves where they can't say no to us.
Right.
They have to pick us.
All right, Mayor Dave Walters, City of Battle Creek, thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, we'll talk again soon.